Hey kids, welcome back to the channel. I think this is going to be a short video, but I got two things I want to talk about. First, a suggestion for SideburnsZA. Then, on to number two, a story of freedom. I know you're not actually a religious person yourself, but it doesn't really matter that much. Take a look at some of the televangelists in the US. You're in the USA, so televangelist is a big money-making operation. If you think you're making big money now, you could make 10 times, 100 times what you're doing now in televangelist, in religion. Also, religion is a very powerful force in the US. They could probably help you to get a visa as a uniquely qualified person based solely on your subscribers. I would think, I'm guessing it probably would work. It's something at least you could look into. I think that even your current subscribers or minions or whatever you want to call them, most people could probably agree that this is probably a good suggestion. It's not out of spite or anything. This is something that you could potentially turn to. I mean, look at your last video. I'm just looking here. Looks like currently you have about 179,000 views for a video that you put out 2 days ago. Looks like 3,857 comments that you have on your video. Probably, I'm going to guess, 3,850 of them agree with you. So you have what it takes to be a televangelist. Believe me. Some of your subscribers may have seen that in the past you said that you're not a religious person. That also doesn't matter. You can become born again. Born again, I think, sells better than actual born religious. This is an example of how you could get into this. You approach an established televangelist network. You go to them with your suit on, or maybe put your best, your nicest suit on. Show them that you have more than 1 million viewers on YouTube. Show them your most recent video, or maybe a few before that, because I think this last one didn't perform quite as well. But most of your videos perform pretty well. So you could help them to raise more money with their current situation, but you could also help them on YouTube. This could be a really big thing. I know you've been trying to look for something different. Worthless Whips did not work out. It would never work out to be as big as anti-China. You know that it's anti-China sells. So, but what sells even more? Televangelists and religious networks in the United States. Think about it. Oh, and did you know that doing televangelist work is tax-free? That's something that's right up your alley. So I think you really need to give this some consideration. It might be something you're interested in, and you could be able to get into it pretty easily. You would be accepted. Anyone that knows you from YouTube would welcome to see you in their church or in their televangelist television program. It's easy work. It pays extremely well. Look it up a little bit and you'll learn that they make a lot more money than you do right now. So I know that something that you make probably pretty good money right now, but it might not be the best racket for your family situation. Anyway, now we're going to get on with the rest of the show. I want to touch on a story about freedom. It's not a story about me, it's a story about a friend of mine. So I may not get everything exactly right because it didn't happen to me. It's about a very good friend of mine that I grew up with. His name is Tiny. And as things go in the West, oddly enough, Tiny is a very big guy. Probably one of the biggest people you'll meet, or one of the, the biggest person that I had as a friend, definitely. Tiny was having difficulty getting work. I mean, you can imagine he would be limited in the number of jobs he'd be able to do. And then he found work driving cars back and forth across the Canadian-US border. He lives very close to Windsor, Canada, which is on the border with Detroit. And the dollar exchange rate between Canada and the US fluctuates. Sometimes it's in favor of the US, sometimes it's in favor of Canada. So he was working for a huge used car dealership in Canada, and they would source vehicles in the United States. Sometimes he would be bringing cars from Canada to the US, depending on the dollar exchange rate. And sometimes he would be bringing cars from the US to Canada. And then they would sell cheaper, like they would be able to bring a car to Canada and sell it cheaper to a Canadian based on the exchange rate with the US dollar. So anyway, it's kind of a complicated situation, but he did that for years. Okay, this is my friend Tiny. He's a huge guy, you know, just driving cars back and forth across the border. That's his job, and he loved it. I mean, easy work, something that he could get into. Maybe you listen to some tunes while you're driving back and forth. This one day, he's coming back from a trip to the US to pick up a car to bring back to Ontario, Canada, and he's got to take a piss. He's got to relieve himself. He pulls into one of those big highway gas stations, and he's gonna, you know, hopefully relieve himself there, and the place is closed. It's too late at night or whatever. So then he drives on to the next one, and those things are probably a good 50 miles, 75 kilometers between them. But he gets there, and the washroom is closed. And this is, I mean, we're talking Tiny here. He's a really big guy, and he really has to relieve himself. So he goes behind the building, goes, you know, to a kind of a secluded area, and he commences to relieve himself outside. The lights go up, and he's going to get the police coming at him now. So the police come up on him. He zips up his pants, you know, and then they're talking to him. They write him up charges for, you know, indecent in public or something. I can't remember exactly what the charge was, but it wasn't good. It was in the U.S. Okay, so then he came back to Canada. He had to go to court in Detroit to face the charges for whatever he did, you know, pissing in a public place or whatever. And because he got charged, he lost his job because he could no longer cross the border freely. You know how often this would happen in China? Never. I mean, and don't get me wrong, it's not like I see people whipping out their wong everywhere and just taking a piss. But along the highway, it's not unusual to see somebody, you know, like up against the fence and, you know, hidden by trees or whatever. I know myself, I would probably go a little bit further into the bush. You do see people up against the side of the road, not facing towards traffic, but relieving themselves at the side of the road. And you know how often you would get charged with that in China? It would never happen, never. So there's a story about freedom that you can maybe think about. Here's a guy that has difficulty to find any other work. He has his livelihood taken from him because he answered the call of nature in the only way that he could in the United States. There's your freedom for you. So I'm not going to say one country's better than the other. What I'm going to say is that they're different. They don't have the same rules. They don't have the same laws. But that was terrible that happened, and it was something that I think the average person could have sympathy for. The lack of freedom in the United States. Thanks for watching. See you next time.